My name is Kearney, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and give a short presentation. I've lived on Treetop Way in Cedarville for over 20 years. I've also worked in Plymouth for about 25 years. I'm Vice President of Engineering at TechEtch, a company of about 500 employees. Tonight I'll be focusing strictly on this proposal in the zoning bylaw for wind energy facilities. As stated in that bylaw, a special permit may be granted under this section if the special permit granting authority finds that each of the design standards have been met and the proposed structure will not in any way detract from the visual character or quality of the adjacent buildings, the neighborhood, or the town as a whole. As part of the application process, Sustainable New Energy was required to fill out an environmental impact statement. Among the questions: will the structures after completion contrast sharply with the surrounding environment? Their answer was yes. After completion of the project, the wind turbines may, depending upon one's point of view, contrast sharply with the surrounding environment. Photo simulations of the proposed turbines will be provided. After construction, will the structures not be congruous with the abutting properties? Their answer was yes. Their explanation: the proposed wind energy facility is not a similar structure to those buildings that exist on the abutting properties due to its use and its height. The surrounding structures consist of residential houses and small commercial buildings. Photo simulations of the proposed turbines will be provided. The definition of congruous: in character, suitable, appropriate. So per the applicant's own reporting, the wind turbines will contrast sharply with the environment. They do not suit the character of the abutting properties, nor are they appropriate for this neighborhood. Logic would tell you that it should end there, but generous state and federal incentives have spawned an industry of aggressive businesses that will attempt to site enormous wind turbines in close proximity to families, regardless of what they may do to the character of neighborhoods or towns. Fortunately, Plymouth has written a bylaw that contains good common sense mandate that structures like this be put in appropriate locations. Since I learned about this project about a week and a half ago, I've talked with over 100 neighbors, and we've all reached the same conclusion. The wind energy bylaw is good legislation, and we can only hope that the zoning board applies it and guides the town of Plymouth to responsible siting of wind towers. State and federal officials have made the funds available. The town has written good legislation to make sure they're sited responsibly. We citizens are only asking that you don't relinquish control to every businessman that is trying to cash in on the available funds. Send the message that suitable sites must be chosen. How wind energy gets executed in Plymouth is not up to companies like Sustainable New Energy. It's up to the zoning board, and it will be your legacy for decades to come. Per the town's bylaw and application process, the applicant was required to submit photo simulations that were supposed to accurately reflect the visual impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. 12 specific photo locations were submitted, and it was determined that the turbines were not visible from 5 of the 12. Only 2 locations were found to have significant views of the project. I need to elaborate on the impact on the surrounding area. In this presentation, I'll demonstrate that the 12 sites chosen were not a valid or fair representation of the visual impact on the character of the surrounding residential neighborhoods. My methodology: in the balloon test and photo simulation report prepared by Atlantic Design Engineers, a 3D Google Earth model was created to depict the visual appearance of the turbines in their precise location. I used Google Earth Professional and recreated this 3D model to assist with additional photo simulations and locations that more accurately reflect the impact on the visual character of the neighborhoods. This is a screenshot from Google Earth Professional. You can see the 3D model of the 2 towers. If you've read Atlantic Photo Simulation Report, you'll recognize this view. For those of you that may not be familiar with Google Earth Professional, it's a 3D simulation of the world. As this short video shows, you can create models of 3D objects and render them anywhere. You can navigate or fly to different locations and view 3D objects as they'd appear in the world. At first, I built this model out of curiosity. This view is my first clue that there was something wrong with the statement in the Planning Board's November 2nd memo to the Zoning Board that 2 homes have significant views of this project. Here you can clearly see the fronts of no less than 27 homes. Beyond Tower 2, you're looking at Treetop Way, Dyer Pass, Pine Mountain Estates, Sea Heights development to the right, To the left out of view are the homes on Hedges Pond Road, the closest to the project. In this perspective, the homes look pretty far away, but these aren't average wind turbines. I'd like to give everyone a common sense perspective about how big these things are. Everyone knows the Sagamore Bridge. The deck is 135 feet tall and it's about 200 feet to the arch. These towers would be 80 feet taller than two Sagamore bridges stacked on top of each other. This is the Mass Maritime wind turbine near the Canal Train Bridge. This is pretty big. Note the scale compared to the buildings right at the foot of the tower. The turbines being proposed here would be twice as tall. This is the Cape Cod Canal Power Plant. The turbines would be 80 feet taller. These are the 4 WPLM towers in North Plymouth. The turbines are 100 feet taller than these antennas. Jim Sweeney has repeatedly told us that the 100-meter towers are being put on bogs that are in a hole, making the hub height effectively just 60 meters instead of 100. This isn't true. The northeast corner of the property meets that criteria, but the homes on Hedges Pond Road are only 30 feet higher than the floor of this project. Parts of C heights are only 60 feet higher. Okay, back to the view of the neighborhoods from Tower 2. How can I be sure that what I've created isn't flawed or inaccurate? In this animation, you'll see that I had the program fly to location D as defined within Atlantic Design's photo simulation report. I created a simple model of the Wood residence. I was able to place the house accurately based upon the imagery from the satellite photos. When you compare the Atlantic Design photo simulation to the 3D model results, it's evident that the model gives an accurate representation of the tower's visibility as they relate to the home. Incidentally, there is no 65 Treetop Way. That address doesn't exist. When Marty and Marilyn Wood saw this address in the Old Colony newspaper last week, they had no idea it was their house that was photographed. They had no notification of the process. None of the abutters did until the zoning board meeting. That's the reason why there was no opposition at the planning board meeting. I performed a second accuracy test. The software will now move to location C as defined by Atlantic's report. That's a location on the other side of this neighborhood on Dyer Pass. Here I created 3D models of several homes. Again, comparing my model to Atlantic's photo simulation, we get virtually the same results. And again, there's no such address as 47 Dyer Pass. We're back to the location in front of the Woods house. Directly behind us is another residence, 63 Treetop, and it's up on a high hill. While Atlantic was retaking photos for additional simulations on November 12th, my wife offered to let them take photographs from our property up on the hill. They declined. Another thing Google Earth Professional does very well in another test for my model is to simulate the position of the sun at any location for any date and time. I set the simulation time for Saturday, November 13th at 3:46 p.m. This picture was taken at that exact date and time and aligned by using the geopositions of distant objects. As you can see, the model was able to accurately predict the position of the sun. And this is the view from 63 Treetop Way. I'd say that's a significant view of the project. Another significant view of the project of 94 Treetop Way from 93 Treetop Way. This is the view from 45 Dyer Pass. This would be the view from 21 Dyer Pass. This would be the view from 33R Admiral Halsey Road in Sea Heights Development. I'd say that's a significant view of the project.